Today I want to talk about Ronnie Perkins and a little bit about Marvin Hagler and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload the video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Ronnie Perkins getting first round hype. But man, daylight savings time got me. Like, I hope to hell it didn't get y'all, and I feel like it's going to get us on that Monday. But I'm glad that Ronnie Perkins, Ramondre Stevenson, Trey Brown, Trey Norwood, Dylan Famatau, Creed Humphrey, and the like, Adrian Ely, were all able to get it in before daylight savings time got us all. Now, some of y'all were paying attention to OU's pro day, and you saw Trey Brown is as fast as we all thought he was. He returned kicks for Oklahoma, among other things, and he ran 4.4 at the pro day. Reportedly could get as low as 4.38, which is about what we expected. Other dudes that performed skill positions, Ramondre Stevenson ran 4.6, which is slower than we thought. He also only put up 13 reps on bench. I thought he was stronger than that. And then we saw Ronnie Perkins run the 4.7s, which I think is what some folks actually expected from him. But Perkins actually is the guy who is the most likely to get drafted first among this group and is getting some first round kind of consideration here of late. He's 6'3", 247, which means that he is a 4-3 defensive end in the NFL, which is basically what he was doing in Alex Grinch's defense if you just isolate his position. It's how I've seen a Marcus Stripling. It's how I think Isaiah Thomas will get looked at too. And we'll keep going on this, but I think if he'd have run faster in the 4.5s, we're probably talking about a fringe first rounder, but because he is 6'3 and not 6'4, you're talking about a guy that people think of as a tweener, right? In the way that, say, Zaven Collins is enormous, right? Joseph Asai is enormous. And those extra inches and that extra wingspan is going to give them a little bit of an edge when it comes to the meat market. But if you're talking about production, what Ronnie Perkins was able to do in 7 games is magnificent. I mean, there's 6 games. Like, this dude had 5.5 sacks. He had, 7 tackles for loss and, 20 tackles. So he's on pace to have 11 sacks in the season and double-digit tackles for loss from that end position if he was not suspended for the first half of the season. Reason he was suspended for the first half of the season. Tested positive for marijuana leading up to the Peach Bowl. He, Ramondre Stevenson, Trajan Bridges were all made to sit out for what many people think is an undue amount of time for the crime that they committed. And the way that we view marijuana now is just not the way we view marijuana even 10 years ago. It's legal in a lot of states, and we become smarter about what that drug is, right? It is not methamphetamine. It is not cocaine. It is not heroin, right? But still, it was against the rules. They broke the rules, and they were paying punishment for that. But Perkins also has a tremendous motor. He loves to play football. He loves to get after people, and that is going to be, I believe, the biggest selling point for him. He's going to be, for me, a TJ Watt kind of player. He's going to come after you and keep coming after you, and he's going to make hell for these tackles in the NFL. And I think, depending on how this draft goes, yes, he could move up into the first, but I always looked at him as a sleeper second, third round guy that I would love to have, kind of like Bradley Anae at the Dallas Cowboys last year. But Bradley Anae went so late, 4th, 5th round, that's kind of where I think a 6'3", 247 dude with tremendous end and bend, or not even bend, but just bull rushing ability like Perkins can go, because Perkins only got the one move, right? And this is me talking with other people, but also if you just watch him, I don't know if he's got a second set, right? I don't know if he can bend around ends, but I do know he's fast. I do know he gets off the ball. I do know he's going to outwork you or try to, and that is enough to really love his game. Now, guys like Ramondre Stevenson, we'll see. We know he's a football player, but I'm looking at him more like a Maurice Clarett type going into the NFL than I am anything else, which is to say, I think he's a great football player. I think he's a great tailback. I'll be interested about the fit, right? It's really going to depend on who wants a carry the load kind of tailback and a guy that can also when he wants to or when they want him to catch the ball in the backfield. And I'm looking at Chris Carson at Seattle, right? And I think Ramondre would fit right in with the Seattle Seahawks, especially if they trade Russell Wilson and they want to continue to be a run the ball, play defense kind of football team, which is generally what Pete Carroll has wanted to be in years past. Trey Brown is in that Parnell Motley boat right now of, is he going to get drafted? I think so, based on his speed. But then it's going to be about fit because he is a shorter cornerback, but he is enormous for a cornerback, and he's strong, and he's fast, and that return ability, that ability to put you at the L5 and streak down, to be able to cover punts, to cover kick returns, I think makes him a candidate to be a special teams dynamo. Creed Humphrey, I don't know about him being a first-round pick as much as I thought a couple years ago. One, because there are two other really outstanding centers in this draft. One of them is Landon Dickerson, who will probably get drafted in the first round, and I don't see more than one center getting drafted in the first round. The other reason is I still don't think that he has shown he can handle that nose tackle off the snap. Like, that is the one weakness in his game that I want to see him shore up. Bravion Roy had his way against him with Baylor. Tyler Shelvin had his way against him with LSU. And on down the line, those oversized tackles are guys he has to be able to beat one-on-one, because that is the point, right? The point is, okay, if you're going to give us a three-man front, we're going to abuse that. We got to be able to walk that down. And starting with our center can take over, it can take apart your oversized nose guard, and then we can go to work on you, changing up their defense, changing up their structure. Last thing I wanted to talk about before we get out of here is marvelous Marvin Hagler passed away on Saturday. This according to his wife on the verified Facebook page that is Marvelous Marvin Hagler Fan Club. This is a man who legally changed his name to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, which I think was really cool, but also a classic boxer, and a classic boxer in every sense of the word. Like, his family moved to Brockton, Massachusetts following the Newark riots, which is another history lesson that I'll give at some other point. But Brockton, Massachusetts also gave rise to Rocky Marciano. And all Marvelous Marvin wanted to do was fight and get the hell up out of Brockton. So he would go work out with his trainers, and his trainers own a construction company. He would work for $3 for $3 an hour for them. And he would only spend what he had to, like 25 cents for a Coke, $50 for, or 50 cents for a sub sandwich, and then he would just put that money away. And he rose up the ranks by, I believe it's like, I want to say by the time he was 18. Make sure I get these dates right. Because, yeah, by the time he was 18, he had won the 165-pound AAU title. And then by 1980, he's world champ. And he defended his title 12 times in 8 years, beating guys like Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, eventually losing it to Sugar Ray Leonard. But that overshadows that in the middleweight division, you were talking about Marvelous Marvin Hagler, right? The way that people talk about Canelo today is how you would talk about Marvelous Marvin. Like, that dude was the guy that my father would point to and say, if you want to fight, and I did, you got to know what this is. You got to come in with your chin down, and you got to be willing to hit people and get hit. We'll talk about how you move, but we got to find out what you are made of. Marvelous Marvin was skill, but his heart was as much as skill. All right, that's it for me. Doses.